I have been called many names. Twistfoot, Far Walker, King Maker. The horseling now sits the throne of the Kingdom of Castles, and it was I who put him there. The House of Fairhair fled to the west, only to fall prey to the blood of the Raven. Many pushed for war and vengeance. But I am old, and I am tired. So I brought 3 kings together, and by 3 bonds I forged a peace. The Segovian Accords, perhaps my greatest writing. I have been called many names: son, brother, father, husband. By Christ, by Odin, by all gods near and far, let this peace last. Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back to our Crusader Kings 3 roleplay series following Ivar Scallendil, the Twistfoot, the Far Walker, the King Maker. And in the end of that last episode, you did indeed see that Ivar had successfully helped his friend and protege Ordonu, once known as the Horseling, oh so long ago, to the throne of Castali. And as we will have seen in that little intro that we had, hearing the words of Ivar himself, some things have changed in the year since that victory. And we will, I'll go into that now because this is going to be something of an epilogue episode. There will be a little bit more here that we see with Jarl Ivar, but his story is coming to an end. And I do want to show you how things have changed after that last episode and the victory that we had there. So as we take a look, we now see the 3 kingdoms here in northern Iberia: Galicia, Hraefnjall, and Castile. And some of those are familiar and some of those are new. But how did this come about? Well, you will recall that at the end of that last episode, the King of Castali, the Ingling King of Castali, died, leaving his 15-year-old son as the heir to the kingdom. That family retreated to Lyon, to the lands of the Hraefnsblod, who were already rebelling against them, and with the weakened Inglings, it was no trouble for House Hraefnsblod, the sons of the Raven, to usurp those lands and to now call themselves the kings of those lands. And thus we have the 3 kingdoms here. Now, at the end of that war, Ivar, a man who never sought war and conquest, he always sought adventure and exploration and learning of peoples, and was a peaceful man, it should be said. Well, he sought peace in the wake of that war. The man who executed his son was dead, and Ivar isn't the type of man to hold a grudge, at least for not in this case. And so he sought out a peace, and so he gathered the 3 kings: the king of Galicia, the king of Hraefnjall, and the new king of Castali, or Castile as it will be called. He brought them together in Segovia here, which he now once again rules over, to form an accord, the Segovian Accords, a peace treaty between the 3 kings: Ordonu the Returned, King Eirikur of Ravensblood, and King Hastin of Normandia. And this peace treaty was forged by Ivar, a man whom all can respect. Ordonu sees him as a mentor, and even Eirikur and Hastin would see Ivar as a man worthy of respect, as a man worth listening to, for he is the most famous of the Norse, and a true warrior, an adventurer, a skald, a wise man, someone to respect. And so if anybody could forge a peace, between these three kingdoms, it would be Ivar. And that is exactly what he did in Segovia, where the three kings came together and formed a peace treaty. And that peace treaty is commemorated in an artifact here in the court of King Ordonu. This tapestry here, the Segovian Accords, it depicts the meeting between the King of Castile, the King of Hraefnjall, and the King of Galicia in Segovia, where a peace was forged between the three rulers. And so we'll see that there are alliances between the three rulers here, Hraefnjall and Galicia, alliances between them all, essentially a peace treaty to secure this this land in the north from any more war. And it was Ivar who did that. And for that great undertaking, he was rewarded with his lands once again here in Cuellar, and even more so a jarldom, which has been renamed to Julianos in honor of his late wife. But the Segovian Accords, beyond the peace treaty, what else did it mean? Well, in order for it to be accepted by Eirikur and Hastin, they needed some assurances that this king here, Ordonu, who did indeed convert back to Catholicism as part of his deal to secure the help of the Venetians and the papacy, though he is he does have the secret of non-believer, because we do know that he worships Odin and Thor more than the god of the Catholics. But regardless, outwardly, he professes now to be a Catholic. And so in order for this deal to be accepted by Eirikur and Hastin, they needed protection for the Norse and the Asatru believers in these lands. And so if we take a look here at the lands of, say, Count Sorkvir here, who is a Norse and is in fact our nephew, if we take a look at his vassal contract, you'll see that his religious rights are protected, as are the religious rights of all the peoples in these lands. And so that was part of the Segovian Accords as well. So that was the peace treaty and the deal that Ivar forged. And, it makes sense that such a thing could happen, because Ordonu himself is a skilled diplomat and, not a man who has great ambitions. He's trusting. He would trust Ivar to understand and to make this deal, and to know that even though he does have claims on these lands, he has no need to push them. And that is part of why this kingdom is called Castile still, instead of Asturias. For part of the deal, part of the Segovian Accords, was that Ordonu would not claim to be the king of Asturias, but he would only claim the kingdom of Castali, because Asturias is a kingdom that rules over all of these lands here, but Castali is not. And so that was part of their deal, was that Ordonu would only claim the kingdom of Castali, which has translated to Castile, the kingdom of castles here in this language. So yeah, that's what Ivar did in the wake of that. Like I said, it's been about a year since then. But what happened to the Inglings since then? Well, if we take a look here, we can see title history here, and we see Balder, the last king of the Inglings of Castali, and he is dead. Well, how did this come about? Well, we do know that he fled into Lyon here, which was an unfortunate move considering that Hraefnsblod was just rebelling against him. Well, Hraefnsblod captured Balder here and offered him up as part of the peace deal to King Ordonu, as essentially a prisoner of war. And although I think it was expected that Ordonu would execute him, Ivar was a man who spoke up in peace, or spoke up in favor of mercy for Balder, even though it was the son of the man who killed his own son. He spoke up for mercy. Ordonu listened, and he said that the son of the Ingling king would live, that Balder would live, but Ivar's son Veender would have none of it. Veender who now leads the Varangian warriors who fought in that war, he would have none of it. And so in the night, he snuck into the cell of that young man here. If we can go to him here, he snuck into his cell and he was executed. Veender Ivarson killed Balder, the son of King Ingolfur. And for that crime, and it was a crime for Ordonu did, say that mercy would be had for him. For that crime, Veender has been exiled from Kastali for 10 years and a day. And so he cannot return essentially until the year 932. He is not allowed to return to these lands. He will be considered a criminal. Ivar, of course, would seek some mercy for his son, but he, in fact, agreed with the punishment because Veender, broke the word of the king. And, even though it made sense for Veender to do, to seek out vengeance, for he is a vengeful man and he's a Norse man, and that, seeking out vengeance is fitting and it's exactly what he should do. Well, it was still considered to be a crime, and although an understandable crime, punishment had to be had, and so he has been exiled to the lands of Hreifnjall here, where he now leads a group of adventurer freebooters called the Leonsbani, which means the Lion's Bane, for he indeed did help kick the House of the Lion, the Inglings, out of Kastali. You will note, though, that his sons are not with him. Ivar and Lucidio and most of his other children here are not with Veender, and that's because they are too young, and Ivar, wouldn't send them off with their father, who was in exile. So he is keeping them here in his court to raise them and teach them, while Veender presumably goes off to be a Viking. And the way I see it is, for Veender especially, he would see this perhaps as an opportunity, in a way, to distance himself from his father, but more so his father's legacy. For I think Veender, even though he isn't an envious man or even necessarily a particularly ambitious man, I think he still wants to make a name for himself. He doesn't always want to be known as the son of Ivar Skalndil. He wants to make a name for himself. And so he seeks to go off on his own. And who knows, maybe he'll conquer some lands here in the Isles or back to Scandinavia, or maybe even in Africa or Egypt or beyond. It's a good question. What will Veender do? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think some possibilities are, because that may be important later on. We do know that our son, Archbishop Enoch, still is the regent of Navarra. But you might be wondering, if Veender has been exiled, well, who will be Ivar's heir? Well, it's none other than Christina. And I think a lot of you will appreciate this. Christina proved herself as a shield maiden, a strong warrior, a capable woman, and a good woman as well. And perhaps the best of the heirs of Ivar in many ways. And so Ivar, despite having this eldest son here, despite having multiple sons and sons of their own sons, he has chosen Christina to rule Quayar once he passes on here. Because I think that's only fitting. And for those of you who are, fans of Christina, you'll be happy to know that she did find love with Jourdain, who was one of the knights of Ordonu who fought in that war. He's a gallant man, a compassionate man, brave, a little impatient, but a good match for Christina. Certainly a much better one than her first husband. So, yeah. And then the rest of our children, Saga continues on, the forgotten child. But Helen has now found herself a husband. Indeed, the Prince of Hreifnjall is her husband, Prince Ulfric II. The beautiful Helen was offered up in a marriage alliance as well with House Ravensblood as part of the Segovian Accords in order to secure peace between all the most prominent houses here in the lands currently. And then, of course, we do have our youngest son, Haralder, but, he's just a young boy. And Ivar, I don't think, would pass over Christina in this case to pass his lands on to Haralder. So Christina indeed is our new heir. So yeah, I think that catches you up pretty much on the main stuff going on. There's just a few little things that I want to talk about before we get time rolling, because I do want to let time roll a little bit here in this epilogue episode, even though we are seeing kind of the winding down of Ivar. And I don't know if he's going to die at the end of this episode or not. But I think that we will see the end of his story, as it were. And whatever tales shall go on past Ivar, well, they will be tales of other great warriors and nobles and common folk. And he will be the ones to tell them, but I think he's done making tales. Or maybe not quite. But I do want to go over some of the important characters that have appeared in the city or in this series so far, just to kind of reminisce over some of them, such as Veender, the warrior who taught Ivar how to fight and who died defending us in Nyera oh so many years ago, who died alongside our brother-in-law Enoch, the brother of our dear and late wife Juliana, who played such an important role in the story. Or Earl Tollier, our first friend and companion, who died after being cloven in half at the young age of 33. These are all important characters. Our father and brother who died as well. Important characters in the story of Ivar. And a lot of these are council member characters. Like, these are the type of characters you guys can play if you become council members and members on YouTube and Patreon. So, like, these are the stories that get told by you guys in the comments and who watch these series. Like, it's not just Ivar's story. It's the story of all these guys. Adolfo, the warrior monk who essentially, his entire goal was to see punishment meted out upon the Catholic sinners of the lands. He thought the Norse came to punish them. He ended up with Ivar, who wasn't really exactly the type of man to mete out punishment, but he ended up serving us loyally for a long time, and now he wanders as a wandering monk around these lands. Ordonu, we obviously know what happened with him. Zaid de Garcia died during the war at the ripe old age of 56. Unfortunately, he got cancer, but he did have a son, Guillen Zaides, who's kind of a terrible, terrible kid, actually. But the kid does have one friend, and that friend is Esther de Caceres. And so I've actually arranged a betrothal here. This is the daughter of Isaac de Caceres, who serves as our chancellor and personal physician. I've arranged the marriage between them and kind of the blending of their two families. So it's not House de Garcia anymore. It's going to be House de Garcia Caceres as the two houses bond together here. So yeah, and that's that's Isaac de Caceres continues to serve us here. Artavan, the whale that walks. Well, he's been given an important position as the mayor of Ukeda. He's not a particularly good steward, but he's a good spy master, and he serves as the spy master in our court. Our nephew, Count Sorkfear, serves as the current steward. He does, we had a good relationship with him for a long time. There's probably some tensions between us now because of the relationship with House Ingling here. But, we still have relatively decent relations with the man. Of course, our new wife, Duchess Theodosia, the one we met in Greece, still plays an important role. And we even here have Count Roy the Giant. He was rewarded for his service to Ordonu. For you remember, even though he joined us on our journey to the Holy Land, He left with Ordonu when Ordonu sought to go to Italy to muster up support for his cause, and Ivar went to Delhi. Well, Roy went with Ordonu, and he was rewarded with the county of Olmedo for his efforts there. And then we have all these, these other important characters, Stirkar, these Varangians who fought with us, and Alfir, who died during the battle, the nuns who served with us, all of these important characters who played a role in the story. These are the characters that Ivar is writing about. He's not just writing about himself. He's writing about all of them. And I think that's the important thing to know about Ivar, is that he doesn't seek just to tell his own tale. And I don't think he seeks to tell his own tale at all. I think he seeks to tell the tale of the people that he meets. And that has always been his goal. And so as we get time rolling here, and as we let Ivar kind of roll into the sunset, we will kind of see what the twilight years of Ivar's life give him here. And we see here, compassionate discord, moved by my tribulations, Count Sorkvir has offered me his counsel and aid on many occasions, hoping to alleviate the burdens of my duties. However, his attentions have incurred the ire of Mayor Artavan. Sorkvir cannot be trusted. This is merely a ploy to exploit you, my liege. I will only place my trust in those who deserve it. Can the three of us not find common ground? I think that Ivar is the perfect man to find common ground between the three men, and we reconcile the two vassals, because that is what Ivar is the most capable at, is doing this. Nice. And so a lot of traits for our character. You'll see also that we are the regent for Ordonu here as well. He is trusting us as the regent. I'm pretty sure we're his chancellor and his court chronicler as well. So Ivar is playing a very important role in the service of the king here. And actually we see here that it does seem, oh, well, there's an event. At the service of a lady, and he was gallant, and she was beautiful, and he was a hero, and she was beautiful. It doesn't take long to discover where the music is coming from, and I soon find Sophia playfully tuning her instrument, leaning on a stone bench. Ah, my lord, isn't it true that the reason for your legend was to impress Constanza? How dare you? I am married. Yeah, no, of course. It was not for the love of Constanza. It was obviously for our wedding or for our wife. We are promoting the legend here, the Chronicles of Scalendil, which is a legend about Ivar, but more so about our family and our travels. And so, yeah, we're gonna take this option here. I imagine this woman here is also probably in the salon that Ivar is running in Segovia. So that's probably why she was making a song and playing an instrument. All right, we can get a new perk here. So we're going to get the friendly relations perk. And we can also raise a runestone, which I think we will do because Ivar is still a Norseman. And what better way to commemorate his legacy and his story than to do it in stone? And so we will have a runestone that speaks of how we came to rule. The story, not just of how Ivar came to rule, but how his family came to these lands. And so we will place it in the only place that we can, and that is in Quayar, the land that Ivar seeks to rule now in his old age. And even more than that, I think that it is time to pay homage to our king here. Actually, is he? Let's just make sure he's in the lands. Yeah, he is. Although he is helping defend a war here, along with Galicia. So, but the king does seem to be home. Let's go and visit him here. We will demonstrate our submission to the new king of Castali. Along the way, I would like to promote cultural acceptance here if we can. We do need a caravan master, so I think we'll get Jourdain to do that position. But yeah, I want to promote cultural acceptance, and I've noticed a weird thing about that is I think you have to leave the lands that have your same culture and then go into other lands. So what I think we'll do is we'll do something kind of like this here on our way. There's a little bit of danger in this journey, but we should be relatively all right. Let's take a mountaineer. That should reduce the danger pretty well. And yeah, let's go and pay homage to the king. So we got a mountaineer with us here. And let's go. A tentative start. Oh, but we are, we're feeling a little rough here. Ivar is, a little bit infirm. He's getting on in his years, so we'll see if he can last for a long time. We do have a feud against the House Ingling, and even though Ivar isn't the one to promote it, certainly Veender is promoting this feud, so I'm not going to break it. I don't think that this is something that Ivar would do, but I do think that the family feud will go on for at least a little while longer. Ordonu is no longer employing us as our court chronicler. I'm guessing it's because he's losing money each month, so the guy needs to save some money up. All right, let's see if we can. I'm hoping that we can improve cultural relations, but in any case, servants usher me into King Ordonu's great hall in Burgos, where he sits his throne and waits to hear my pledge. I kneel at the feet of my lord and pledge the many oaths of homage as his scribes record the event. With that, the ceremony is complete. I have nothing to offer my king except my promise to faithfully serve as a vassal of the kingdom. Ordonu bids me to arise and confirms his satisfaction, along with my rights to the lands I rule in his stead. Hail to the king. And so there we go. We got to pay homage to the king that we put on the throne. So here we're just kind of passing through the lands. I was hoping to get some events promoting the culture with Castilians, but we stopped to rest one night at a tavern, and while I'm sitting in the corner peacefully enjoying some Castilian music, the door barges open and a large silhouette appears. A knight swaggers in, and the atmosphere immediately changes. The people bow their heads in reverence. Some swoon, and the barkeep immediately pours the apparently famous knight free drinks. This guy probably earned his fame in the recent war. Is being a knight really so special here? I should find out why they regard him so highly. I can be like that if I training hard for 1 year. Prowess plus 20? That's crazy. No, I think Ivar would be more curious about learning why they regard him so highly. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. Blood and spit. Apparently Lucidio spit in my grandson Ivar's food during dinner a few nights ago. One of the cooks came upon Ivar getting revenge by spitting in his food in secret. That explains why he's been looking a bit green during dinner. Just what Lucidio deserves? No, don't be so meek. Take revenge. Just turn the other cheek. Well, I think Ivar would say to turn the other cheek, of course. That seems only fitting. Ooh, looks like we're getting raided by Vizcaya, the lands of House Snarfari, which are ruled by an 8-year-old. But his regent is... Ooh, his regent is a House of Yingling? No wonder they're raiding. So this woman here, who is actually, in fact, vengeful. This is one of the daughters of King Harold Fairhair. So with her family ousted, she's taking the forces of the Snarfaris, and she's using them to get revenge on her own enemies here. So pretty fitting that this is going. I wonder if she'll become a little bit of a villain for Ordonu here going forward, but there we go. We have arrived home once again, and that I think is quite good to see for Ivar. But yeah, I mean, the question is, where do we go from here? My daughter Christina receives me with a generous smile in her library. My lord, in our efforts to write down your legend, we've thought of sending some children around to the markets to praise the deeds of our family. Send them out immediately. There's no way to prove it. Sure, we can. I think this is more like not sending out the children. I think what it is, I think the young children who are learning in the salon are being sent to speak of the great poems and the great writings of Ivar Scallendil and the stories that he's written out in the town and further afield. So I think that's more how I would see that kind of playing out there. But yeah, the question is what exactly do we go from here? I mean, plenty of interesting events going on. Oh, there's actually a bunch of things going on. The quarrel. My nephew Count Sorkfear has been quarreling with his sister Glode, who was the former queen of Castalia at one point. Unbelievable. How can a sycophant like you believe you're the ideal manifestation of the Scallendale family virtues? No fighting in the family? No, I think we'll attempt to break up their fight in peace. The latest work of my best friend King Ordonu has become all the rage at court. The piece deals with memory and what we leave behind, and Ordonu has publicly dedicated it to me. I mean, he is a poet himself. A lament for the Jarl. What man does not hope to rest when tired? His works surrounding the happy retired, and hope only for memory's grace. Their time of conquest ended apace. So far, I've kept my thoughts to myself. Wow, this is like such a perfect poem, actually. It's literally exactly fitting for Ivar, and that is pretty cool. Ordono, I can see that this is truly heartfelt. Synergized friendship. Greetings, my benign vassal. Ivar, I know I can count on you in all things, and I wonder, would you commit to always aid each other in matters of experience and training? We both gain enhanced diplomacy. Oh, nice. That's actually really cool. Yeah, we'll of course accept our dear friend's offer there. The quarrel. I'm glad you are here, Ivar. Won't you please talk some sense into Glode? You are in the wrong. You're both acting like petulant children. Learn to compromise with each other, as the king here seems to be doing. Greasing mouths. A vassal often clamors to gain the attention of their liege, but for once that particular table has been turned. Sorkfear, I think his liege's favor should suffice to spread our legend, because we are indeed spreading our legend, hopefully. Anyways. Golden Child, one morning as I'm getting ready to face the day, my son Harold approaches me. Father, we have found this while exploring the castle today. You should have it. He hands over a small tattered coin pouch. It makes a jingling sound. Keep it, invest it, we say. This will further his stewardship education focus. Yeah, good on him. Oh, what do we have here? Greetings, my benevolent vassal. I offer you the service of my personal physician, Pierre Ramon, the highly skilled man with knowledge of military strategies. I mean, he did serve us once, so sure, we will accept. We'll accept the services of this man. Do we have oh, you know what? We should get ourselves a tutor here. Saga? Saga could be... Said she would be a good tutor. Oh no, Christina shall be the tutor. She's excellent at it. And we'll have her educating children. We can't afford too much here because paying for the legend, even though I've reduced the prices, does cost a lot. Ooh, the Catalans. Duke Gerard of the Catalans, a Mos Arabic Catalan man. Populist leader. Oh, that's awesome. He ousted the Saracustans. That is really cool. And he's actually he's actually quite powerful. That's actually really cool that we have now a new Mos Arabic ruler here. That is really cool. Duke Gerard could possibly play an interesting role. The Duke of the Catalans. Super cool. All right, and Christina is educating our children very well, and that's excellent. Excellent to see. Oh, Sorkfear has died. He flagellated himself to death. I think that, you know, maybe he couldn't just take the loss of, you know, what happened with his family, and now Glode becomes the new ruler here. Oh, and she was actually the mother of Balder. And our son was the one who killed her son, so she probably is not... She probably doesn't like Veender. Oh, Veender was her friend. Oh, I gotta change this. Veender was her friend. They were friends when they were kids, though. And now Veender killed her son in vengeance, so I'm gonna turn them into rivals. I didn't even think of that, but that's a really kind of cool little bit of thing to happen to. So yeah, that's really interesting. My son Enoch was captured by... Oh, look at that. Oh no. And then the freaking Snarfaris went and captured Enoch. Huh. That's actually kind of crazy. that our son was taken prisoner by, not by the Snarfari kid, but by Infanta Skuld. Oh man, crazy. There, she's getting revenge on us. I mean, we gotta, can we do anything about that? Can we declare war? We do not have a Casus Belli. Oh man, is there nothing we can do? Can we, I mean, maybe we could, you know, I guess we could try to get a claim or something so that we could go and do a war on them. The Badaic Reformation, Magan Marega, a prominent figure among Badaists, has gathered every Hogan in the land to discuss their beliefs and establish an official doctrine for the pagan faith. These Badaic Hogans are encouraging cooperation and tolerance even towards non-believers and claim that the only way to show proper devotion is by honoring Beta with human sacrifices. The burgeoning movement has decided not to instate a religious head, preferring instead to let each Hogan determine what the teachings are appropriate for their own temple. So the king of Ghana, or the king of Ghana has reformed his religion. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in a game before. That is actually super cool to see. So that would be what, way down over here. Oh yeah, old Badaic, and then we've got the Badaic religion. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's oh man, interesting. Well, we have to do something about our son, right? Pay ransom. Once again, I don't think that I don't know, would Infanta Skull just give up our son for 20 coins? For some reason, I don't think so, honestly. So so I don't think I will. Oh man, we have no capable stewards. I guess Glode, who's kind of probably not really good friends with us. Man, the politics here are pretty complicated, and I think that Ivar would want to get away from it all. You know, he puts things in the hands of his daughter. You know, he needs to clear his head. He needs to think about what to do about Enoch being captured. He needs to think about what he can do to help his family to go into the future. So I think he's going to take a hike, and he's going to go and see if he can find himself some peace, some clear-headedness. Our traveling companion, we should bring somebody with us. I think we'll bring you know what? Let's bring Saga. We never bring Saga anywhere. She's always forgotten. Let's bring Saga along with us. Traveling, short hike, long hike. Yeah, let's do a long hike. And let's clear our head and try to figure out what we can do about our situation here. Storyteller, mystic. Yeah, let's seek a mystic connection. We'll go up into the mountains and we'll seek a mystic connection. Let's start the hike here. I imagine if Veender were to find out what happened to his brother, he's gonna be, oh, and look at that. He is, you know, he is in Navarra here. So he's obviously got some plans going to rescue his brother or something along those lines. So Vemender's certainly doing something there. But yeah, Ivar's getting old. He's getting tired. He's, you know, he wants to pass these off to his son, but you know, there's only so much he can do. He is just one man. So let's go on this hike. My retinue and I have finally arrived at Corusera, and for just a moment I am taken in by the view. I look up at the towering mountains surrounding us with their lofty peaks seemingly reaching into the heavens. At last I can leave all those past struggles behind me and just focus on finding a moment to unwind, a chance to set everything aside and truly relax. What a view. We're no longer as overwhelmed by stress. Yeah. Long before it comes into view, I smell the scent of burning wood and flesh. Upon our arrival, all I can see is the smoldering husk of what must have once been a huge farm. I hear Saga talking to my guards. There's neither anyone alive nor anything left to save here. All that remains is the ashes of a home and those who lived in it. Find the remains, give them a proper rest. Guards pick the place clean. No. We tried to repeatedly break into the burning building, but to no avail. I don't think Ivar would lie, right? So I think that he will. I think that he will just find the remains and give them a proper rest. We found some rest by a quiet river. Despite my many expectations, the day has unfolded in an overwhelmingly quaint and quiet manner. Initially, I found myself perking up at every sight and sound. However, as time passed, nothing stood out as particularly memorable, and my attention began to wane. Gradually, though, I find myself appreciating the time I spend with Saga. Nothing of importance comes up, but is enjoyable nonetheless, so we get to spend a little bit of time with our forgotten daughter. Maybe this is just what I needed. We come across a fantastic view even as we do. We met a group of traders. We continue up the slope slowly, one step at a time. It has been a long day, and I can feel my thighs burning. I'm only trying to focus on putting up one foot in front of the other at this point when one of my guards helps me the last couple of steps. Suddenly, we find ourselves on a ledge, and I can see the valley stretching out below us, a tapestry of green and brown. I'd completely missed how far up we had come due to exhaustion and the strain of the journey, but now it was all worth it. What a sight for sore eyes and legs. And yeah, I think that Ivar maybe does find a moment of peace up here. The conflict between the Sword of Aalborg and Jorvik interested me little until my council's recent summary of the Battle of Doncaster appeared. Somehow I know, even before I open it, that it contains good news. There, among the dispatches, it reads, "We confirm that Ivar was killed staunchly resisting the Jorvik pikemen. He was slain by Emender, a knight of leader Svein, in a fierce encounter." Well, the leader Svein of the Sword of Aalborg. Wow, some mercenaries here. Oh, this guy seems cool. His father was torn to pieces. The former leader of the Sword of Aalborg. Cool. Good riddance. Yeah, I don't think we much care for him. There's a village here, I say to myself, deeply confused. It's not on any map, and not a single person has mentioned anything about it, and yet here the village is. When I ask around for what the village is called, people simply say, "The village?" Well, it's the village. Is this in some kind of thick accent I've never heard before? Who are these people? Why have I never heard about them before? Don't they actually owe me thanks? I have to learn all about these people, absolutely. The holding of Crusader gets the Forgotten Village for 10 years. Nice. Yeah, let's learn about these people. We learn from the village mystic. As we settle in for the night, we see the whole sky lit up with stars. It's one of the clearest nights we have seen since we left Segovia. It's quiet, not a sound to be heard, be it from people or animals. It's like the mountains are holding their breath as we are taking in the night sky. I should go to bed and get rested in the morning, but maybe I can stay up for another hour or two. I will remember this for as long as I live. So there we go. And there it is. With one last step, I finally leave the mountain of Crusader. I look back one last time, reminiscing about my journey through the mountains. This place has offered a brief escape from my duties. It was a modest comfort, but a comfort nonetheless. I take a deep breath, savoring the last moments in this haven before embarking on the journey home. Alas, such is the way of life. Finish our hike. And I think as Ivar finishes this hike, I think he comes to a realization that he is an old man, and it is his time is done. It is his time to pass on the torch, to pass the torch on to his children. And I think that is exactly what he intends to do here, to give Christina more and more of a role, and to step back. You know, his son is in prison, but I think that he needs to trust, you know, in his own children. You know, I don't think Ivar is not going to completely step away from everything, you know, and I don't think that he's going to stop, you know, seeking out a way to free Enoch here. But I think he's come to the realization that he can't do it all himself, and that he can't simply be the hero of this story, for he never was. He was always the man who would write it. And there are many stories left to be told, and those stories will be told in our next season of this playthrough. Like I said, I intend to keep this going for many generations, and I want to have the story that we've built here with all the characters that we've seen in this story so far, the roles that they have played, and the marks that they have left here on this land and further abroad. I want to see how that all plays out. And so we will definitely be continuing this in another season. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so. Like I said, if you want to have a character in that next season, join on YouTube or on Patreon because you can get a character that will play a role in the story as well. But I think that Ivar's part in the story is finally done, and it is time for him to really and truly put his boots up and rest. And we will learn the stories of the next band of adventurers and the next band of heroes and warriors, villains and skalds in our next season. But until then, Wanderers, thank you so much for watching.